The next summons to the headmaster's study came several weeks later, though the sense of inevitability surrounding it made the interval seem far shorter. By then, the ritual itself had become almost as intimidating as the punishment that concluded it. School discipline in those days was steeped in ceremony, and nowhere was that more apparent than in the oak-panelled privacy of the headmaster's office. On this occasion, I was sentenced to 6 strokes of the cane. Unlike previous visits, I was the only boy waiting outside the study door. The silence of the corridor seemed to amplify every small sound from within: the scrape of a chair, the opening of a cabinet, the faint rustle of papers. When finally called inside, I found the headmaster standing beside the cupboard in which he kept his canes, 3 of them, each slightly different in length and thickness, arranged with almost military precision. He did not hurry. Indeed, part of the ordeal lay in the deliberation with which he selected the instrument. One by one he lifted the canes from the cabinet, flexing each thoughtfully between his hands before deciding upon the one he intended to use. It was an unnerving display of calm authority, the sort of calculated theatre that many schoolmasters of that era seemed to believe reinforced discipline as effectively as the punishment itself. Once chosen, the cane was swished lightly through the air as he moved behind me. He ordered me to bend over, then tapped my backside 3 times with the rod, a curious prelude that seemed intended less as guidance than as a reminder of what was about to follow. Only then did he formally announce the sentence, 6 strokes. From that day onward he adopted a practice that made the experience peculiarly unforgettable. After each stroke landed, he paused briefly before counting aloud. 1, then the next stroke, 2. The counting transformed the punishment into something measured and inexorable. There was no uncertainty about how many remained. Each number marked another stage in the ordeal. I cannot speak for the other boys who stood before him over the years, but for me, the counting intensified the anticipation far more than the pain itself. The cane stung fiercely enough as it struck, yet the ritual surrounding it, the selection of the rod, the deliberate pacing, the counting, was what fixed the memory so permanently in my mind. The third occasion on which I was caned proved even more memorable, for this time 4 friends and I were punished together. We had all been caught for the same offence and were marched into the study as a group, each boy required to witness the punishment of the others before receiving his own 6 strokes. Public punishment among peers carried its own particular humiliation. There was the awkward silence as each boy bent over, the involuntary reactions as the cane landed, and the knowledge that one's friends were observing every moment. It was discipline turned into spectacle. On this occasion, the headmaster altered his method again. After every stroke, he tapped the recipient's backside lightly with the cane before delivering the next. One of my friends later remarked that the headmaster appeared to be placing each succeeding stroke directly across the line of the previous one. Whether intentional or not, the effect was severe. By the end, my buttocks bore vivid tramlines, dark bruising, and several raised welts. I received 2 additional strokes because I instinctively sprang upright after the 3rd and 4th cuts, instead of remaining bent over. Another friend earned an extra stroke for hesitating to resume position after the 5th. Such reactions were evidently regarded as breaches of discipline in themselves. Looking back, I suspect the decision to cane us together stemmed from the fact that our offence had been collective. Previous punishments for individual misdeeds had followed a different routine. Boys lined up outside the study and were called in one at a time. Yet, whether solitary or public, the punishment always involved a carefully choreographed procedure that seemed designed to impress itself deeply upon the memory. And memory, perhaps, was precisely the point. The actual sting of the cane, though sharp and immediate, faded comparatively quickly. What endured was the atmosphere surrounding it, the polished office furniture, the slow selection of the cane, the measured counting, the sense of absolute authority exercised through ritual. School corporal punishment in Britain during the 1950s, 60s and into the 70s often possessed this oddly ceremonial quality, part discipline, part performance. Our headmaster had already served 15 years at the school when I arrived and remained there throughout my education. Given that canings were administered on average several times each week, he must have carried out thousands over the course of his career. For him, it appeared almost routine. For the boys involved, it was rarely forgotten. The subject resurfaced in later years while watching the film The Magdalene Sisters, particularly the performance of Geraldine McEwen as the Mother Superior. In one striking scene, she canes two girls across their bare buttocks in a manner that feels disturbingly authentic, brisk, practiced, and entirely devoid of hesitation. One is left wondering whether such realism arose naturally from the actress's skill, or from the director's insistence on recreating the cold institutional discipline that once characterized so many schools, convents, and reform establishments of the period. What the scene captures so effectively is not merely the punishment itself, but the unsettling normality with which authority figures of that generation often administered it.